has worked in the past. Cardinals offensive coordinator Mike McCoy was fired this week due to having the worst offense in the league. Is that his fault? Well, not completely, but GM Steve Keim didn't exactly set this team up for success by not fixing their offensive line woes this year. Losing some key players like John Brown and the Honey Badger didn't exactly help things either. Okay, back to my point. Whenever there is a coach or coordinator fired, it automatically sparks up the team for their next game due to the fact that players want to prove that it wasn't them who sucked so far during the season. It's more of a psychological handicap than anything else. So this is very similar to when you have a coworker that gets fired. All of a sudden, everybody else, you and everybody else in your job starts kicking ass for a while. It's kind of like when the shit hits the fan syndrome. So, to be honest with you, this game should be around a pick 'em anyways. I think power rating wise, San Francisco is a slight edge, but the Cardinals may be getting back a few offensive linemen, Justin Pugh and Mike Lupati. Cardinals in this spot you have to take due to their coach or offensive coordinator getting fired. Cardinals -1 here. It's home game. Another thought I had, we took the Bears early, -5.5. It's up to -7. I think the Bears are going to destroy the Jets. This is kind of just a quick hitter. The Bears outdid the Patriots in yards, and it was actually by a lot, but their special teams lost the game. The Bears, they're good at creaming the bad teams. You saw that against Tampa Bay. I think they bounce back hard in this spot at home, and they completely take out the Jets. I'm actually playing that in my survivor pool as well. And our premium play is actually going to be the Bengals versus the Buccaneers. All right. I got a teaser for you as well. We've been killing it in teasers this year. That's because the NFL lines have been so sharp. So teasing them in 6 points with another team gets you -110, normal juice. And they've proven to pay off. So I'm going to tease Denver against Kansas City all the way to +16 with Cleveland to +14. Now, I like the dogs more here because they already played each other once and they saw, they got a lot of film, they got tape, they already played them. Denver actually did a pretty good job against the Chiefs last game. They had control of that game until the end. The Chiefs came back and won. Denver's got some extra time to prepare since they played a Thursday game. Moving on to Cleveland, they played the Steelers pretty well that first game of the year. And Baker Mayfield is kind of a second half kind of quarterback. I think the way you bet Cleveland is fade him in the first half and take him in the second half. I think I found a little trend there. But either way, I think it's enough for them to cover the 2 touchdowns on the teaser. Plus the Steelers versus Cincinnati game, anyone that knows football saw the Steelers get away with that little pass interference there on that Antonio Brown touchdown. So, I don't know how it's going to be called this game, but the Steelers win by 6-7 points. So I like the teaser in this spot. Now let's bring on one of our handicappers that's got a few plays of his own for some college football. We have Eddie Owens. All right, we have my man Eddie Owens back to break down a few picks this week in college football week 9. You can tweet Eddie at Eddie Has Winners. What's happening, Eddie?
Man, it's already week 9. The season has flew right by us, but we're looking to keep it moving, and we're ready to give out some winners.
Absolutely. And I know you're huge into college basketball, and I can't wait till we have our podcast and discussion about that. Had a blast last year with you. And, I'm already starting to read up on it myself. I'm guessing you got to dab into that a little bit yourself.
Oh, yeah, totally. College basketball is definitely my breadwinner, my favorite sport to handicap. And, yeah, it starts in about 2.5 weeks. So yeah, but right now I'm just concentrating on these next 2 weeks of football. We got the ESPN playoff rankings coming out this weekend, so I'm ready, man.
Yeah, me too. Me too. Finally get those rankings back in, like the old BCS days. So we're ready to see their 4 teams. There's not going to be too many surprises, I don't think, at least not yet. But there should be a few more upsets to happen. So hopefully we get to see some drama unfold with that. But let's get right into it, my man. You gave me your games. Baylor versus West Virginia is one of them. West Virginia is laying about 14 points here. What are your thoughts on this one?
Well, first thing that came to my mind, they're both coming off a bye week. West Virginia is coming off that loss at Iowa State, which is so hard. It's so hard to play at Iowa State. So many teams get beat there. That is definitely a big home field advantage, so I can't really fault West Virginia. But another thing I was looking at is West Virginia pretty much controls their own destiny. They're still 5-1 with only that one loss against Iowa State. They start off with Baylor this tomorrow night. Then they still have to play Texas, TCU, Oklahoma State, and OU. So they really still control their own destiny. And on this game, which is tomorrow night, Thursday, so hopefully some of our early podcast listeners can hear it. Mm-hmm. I'm laying the 14 with West Virginia. Like I said, I think they control their own destiny. Will Greer's looking great, and so is that offense. And Baylor, they're better than I thought they would be, but I still think West Virginia is just going to out-athlete them and just run up the score. My numbers have it at about West Virginia 16 and a half, so I'm definitely laying that 14.
Yeah, what would this line have been had West Virginia not lost to Iowa State? It would have been probably more like 17 to 20.
Yeah.
17 to 20
exactly.
Because, West Virginia was kind of looked at like as good as Oklahoma until that happened. And Oklahoma's line against Baylor was around 23, 24. So you definitely know that line would have been a lot better. But in my opinion, it's just like you said, very hard to play in Iowa State. They were in their blacks that game. It was just their game to win. West Virginia was tired. It was done. But they're going to come back with full force, rested up for that bye. I'm actually on this game as well, and as well as the over. So loving that pick. Glad I agree with you on that one. Glad it's good to hear that.
Yeah, with Baylor too, they're coming off that tough loss before their bye weekend as well against Texas. I mean, Texas started off hot, but Baylor only lost by 6-7 points. But either way, I think this is a real bad spot for Baylor. They have to travel all the way to tough West Virginia, and it's a Thursday night game. And I just think West Virginia has all the momentum and more to play for. So it's also a situational handicap almost.
Well, it is, because Texas versus Baylor, Texas was in a letdown spot, as I mentioned before.
Exactly.
They were coming off that Oklahoma win. So yeah, absolutely. They were kind of, looking, not even really looking at Baylor seriously. So plus they lost Ellinger that game, it was tough for them. And I think he might be back for their next game. I'm still waiting on more reports on that. But
I heard he's looked all right. But that might be one game to kind of lay off. Texas heading up there to Oklahoma State. And with you, like I said, Ellinger got banged up. And I don't trust Bouchel as much as Ellinger. So that's probably one game I'm going to lean off of. But, I totally know what you mean.
Yeah. It's weird because they've got West Virginia next too. Maybe they're looking ahead to them, and Oklahoma State's a home dog, and they're pretty good as a home dog. It's one of those that I've heard some both sides on. So I love to bet it, but this is one that I think is probably smartest to sit back and enjoy that game myself, unless this line gets out of hand. We'll tweet that out if that happens on Saturday. Well, let's move on, my man. Texas Tech versus Iowa State. What's this one at? I think over under's around 56 here.
Yeah, I'm gonna take an over under on this game.
Where we at?
Let's see. Right now, I went ahead and locked in the under at 56. It opened up at 57, so not too much line movement. My numbers have it at about 53, 53 and a half. Like we just mentioned, Iowa State is so tough to play in. It's an early game. Iowa State's a good team with a great defense, and I know Texas Tech. Their offense is usually high flying and stuff. But I look for Iowa State to slow them down, just as they have all their earlier competition in the Big 12. All these teams that are high flying Big 12 offense. They come to Iowa State and it's like they just get slowed down. So I'm really looking for the under on this game, especially with that Iowa State defense. And Texas Tech defense has actually played really well these last couple of weeks. They have 8 turnovers on the season as well. So I think it's just going to be a defensive battle. Like I said, my number is 53, 53 and a half. So right as I saw that 56, I went ahead and snagged that.
Texas Tech's defense is better than what they showed in the past. And I kind of expected that coming in, but I lost that first totals bet against Mississippi due to those first, special teams touchdowns and whatnot. And then you saw it against Kansas. Kansas had that garbage touchdown at the end that brought me over, thank God, last game. But it was Texas Tech it does have a better defense than people think. But Iowa State is going to control this game, and you know it. I don't care how Texas Tech plays. If it was at Tech, it might be a different story. They usually control the pace when it's at home. But definitely Iowa State's going to probably pound the rock here, And I think I have to lean under as well.
Yeah, with Texas Tech, it's almost like right as they hit conference play, something happened, a light bulb clicked on or something, because their defense stepped up. Looking at some of these numbers here, the only team they've allowed over 20 points in conference play so far is West Virginia, and West Virginia is good. They held Oklahoma State to 17, they held TCU to 14, and they held Kansas to 16. So yeah, they're really improved right now, and like we were talking about with Iowa State, their home field advantage and their defense, and I think they're going to try to control the clock. I think it's a great spot for the under.
Yeah, absolutely, and I don't want to play a side here. Iowa State had that big win against was it West Virginia last time, and they had a bye week too. Yeah, I think it happened like that. So definitely would rather take the under on that one. So I think we have one more, don't we? Tennessee, little SEC action.
I'm about to say a little SEC special Saturday night. This game's a little off the radar compared to some of the other games today. Mm-hmm. I mean, sorry, I said today, on Saturday. Mm-hmm. And Tennessee's heading to South Carolina. South Carolina's kind of had a disappointing season. I know they got all the hype over the summer leading up into the season, but they kind of disappointed. But here, I look for them to take advantage of Tennessee, who's been struggling pretty bad this year, as well as last year and the year before that. So I think South Carolina, my numbers have it at 8.5, 9, maybe even 10 if I want to add another point for home field, but I can't really do that right now with South Carolina. But yeah, my numbers have it at about 8, 9, so I'm definitely going to lay the 7.5. Especially, I've been seeing some numbers. I might wait even longer and hit it twice if I can get a 6.5, 7. So that's the spot I'm looking at for this game.
So you think some Tennessee money is going to come back in here?
I think it could a little bit, just because South Carolina, like I said, they're only 3-3. They're not the best team, so I feel like some people might see that and take those points. But I think South Carolina, like I said in the game before, I think South Carolina will just out athlete them. Tennessee's they're just at ground zero right now.
Yeah, they had that lucky win against Auburn. They got some turnovers.
Yeah,
there.
that was their one. That was their one win. You know what I mean? Like one pretty good win. So I didn't even bring that game into consideration because Auburn's kind of a fluke.
Yeah. I don't have a big opinion on this game. My power ratings say above 7.5 for sure. So that's good. It's just South Carolina's been so damn disappointing too to a lot of people this year. And but it is in South Carolina, right? And And so that way, so that you know, you got your advantage right there. And sometimes it takes a